Welcome back to Politics on France 24, where we're trying to read the crystal ball and figure out who France's next president will be in 9 months' time. So with me on the set is Anne-Elisabeth Moutet, a columnist with the Sunday Telegraph, Stefan de Vries, the Paris correspondent of the Dutch TV station RTL4, and Mathieu Douaret, who's with the Ipsos Polling Institute. Mathieu, I want to ask you, we're talking about the Greens. There's also one big mystery is what happens in the center of the political field. I mean, how much of an impact will it have on the actual result of the election? Who runs, how much they get?
First of all, the impact may be on what we measure now, because obviously the center is, as everyone knows, split in the middle itself. Approximately half of it always finally leaning to the right, and the other half to the left. So when at the first round the center is big, the stakes are very high. When it is small, the impact is very limited. For the time being, the conjunct scores are rather high, around 20% in every poll. The question is who will actually run, first of all, and second, how many votes will they steal from Sarkozy? Because for the time being, it is obvious that Sarkozy's major weakness is on his own left. Marine Le Pen's score is high, but doesn't really improve over time. So the threat seems to be contained on the right, but Borloo and Bayrou are probably serious threats on Sarkozy's left. And for the time being, since they are not declared, it is very difficult for us pollsters to decide whether it is reliable or not, what we measure. Because we know that it might also be a vote you declare when you are not sure of your decision. What I just wanted to add is the fact that obviously political ideas are one subject, but constituencies, how the electorate works, is another one. And when you look at the figures through the demographic breaks, what you see is that Nicolas Sarkozy's current constituency is very limited to the core right-wing electorate, the elderly, the retirees, not enough working people. When you look at Marine Le Pen's figure, you see that she hasn't got enough female voters, in spite of being a female. And when you look at Eva Joly's figures and Borloo's figures, and even Hollande's figures, obviously you see that they are picking their shares up in the same ground. So the problem is who will win the center. And for the time being, the socialist candidate who appears to be the best to do it for the time being is François Hollande.
François Hollande. Is Jean-Louis Borloo, who is probably the most popular among the centrists, really the danger? Yet again, he was a minister for Nicolas Sarkozy, for Jacques Chirac, and he now threatens to declare himself in the poll. I mean, shouldn't Nicolas Sarkozy do anything he can to stop him?
I think he's going to do anything he can to stop him, and he's a two-pronged attack, and some of it is going to seduce him and say, come back, you'll have, you'll be prime minister, you'll have this or that job or whatever. And the other is, of course, to try and undermine him by, every possible means that you have in a political campaign. And we'll see how that goes. And Borloo has weaknesses. There was talk of Borloo becoming prime minister a year ago, and he went on a diet, as you do, and he cut his hair, and he was really grooming himself, and you really thought he had it made. And all sorts of stuff came out, including in left-wing newspapers, about the fact that he likes a tipple. He's been known to like a glass of wine or two or three. This may come back. We don't know exactly how much of it will come out of it. The thing about the centre people is that they have images, but do they have platforms? Borloo has got the image of the Green Environment Minister, somebody who was committed to the Grenelle de l'Environnement, which is a highfalutin term for a number of measures that were advocated but not all applied. And he's seen as a little bit populist. He's a barrister. Again, he's not an ENA. He's not a technocrat. He's not an ENA graduate. But if you asked anybody in the street what he stands for, apart from the environment, I don't think they could say they could say a lot. They just say, "Oh, il est sympathique, he's a nice guy," but that's possibly not enough.
Stéphane de Vries, quickly, I mean, do you think there could be an upset candidate? In 2007, François Bayrou scored 18% in the center. Now he seems to. So do you think there could be someone, because people are not too sure, not too happy, who could become a real kingmaker?
Well, it probably will be Marine Le Pen, because at the time being, I don't really see anyone who has this kind of appeal to the French electorate. Borloo is, like Anne-Elisabeth said, I totally agree. Nobody knows what he really stands for, and some people even think that he has a hidden agenda and that he's just trying to irritate Sarkozy in order to secure a prime minister's post after the elections of 2012. And in the middle there's nobody else. I mean, François Bayrou, indeed, in 2007 got a huge, very, very good result, 18% or over 18%. But now he's faded away. He's nobody talks about him anymore. We don't see him in the news. He's very, very discreet. He almost lost his whole party. So Bayrou doesn't really represent the danger. So the kingmaker or the queenmaker might be Marine Le Pen.
Okay.
Yes.
You just mentioned some rumors. They have been around already in this campaign, and they've become a real issue when one of the socialist candidates, Martine Aubry, really put them on center stage.
Martine Aubry campaigning in southern France last week. Away from the cameras, journalists asked the Socialist Party presidential contender about rumours which had been circulating. She came out fighting against those who implied on Twitter that she had an alcohol problem. And she targeted those who claimed her husband, Jean-Louis Brochen, is on close terms with extremist Islamists. The claim was based around the fact that in 1993, the lawyer defended 17 Muslim students who refused to remove their veils. Brochen has said it was a lawyer's role to defend all sorts of cases. Back when Aubry launched her campaign to run for the Socialist Party's presidential nomination, he said he knew what sort of tactics to expect.
Well, low blows are sadly part of the game. It's not our way of doing things. Sadly, our morals aren't shared by everybody else.
These sort of rumours have been circulating for years. But according to Martine Aubry's inner circle, they've increased in number and volume in recent weeks. An email campaign was launched to spread the accusations, with many journalists on the receiving end. And so Aubry has decided to nip the rumours in the bud. In a Sunday paper, she threatened legal action.
The majority of sites are taking them down, and for those that don't, will take legal action.
The timing was carefully chosen. A few days later, she launched her strategy for the presidential primaries in a newspaper interview.
Now that she's a candidate in the presidential primaries, Martine Aubry can't look at these rumours in the same way as when she was head of the Socialist Party, when she could afford to ignore them. Now, any rumours could have a disastrous effect if she doesn't lance them straight away. So I understand that tactically she wanted to go on the offensive at this stage, saying, "Be careful saying falsities about me. You can try to do me down, but I won't let you."
On the political left, even Aubry's rivals for the presidential nomination have been quick to support her.
To those who keep all sorts of rumours going, this isn't the direction that I personally want to see our campaign go in.
However, on the right, Aubry has been accused of wanting to be in the media spotlight.
This is a new tactic from the Socialists to try once more to waste time and to forget to work on the issues that are important to the French.
A few weeks ago, Labour Minister Xavier Bertrand called for the presidential campaign to remain high-minded. For now, at least, things appear to have drifted away from that aim.
Anne-Elisabeth Moutet, this is very un-French. Traditionally, there was this clear separation between private life and public life, but now everything is...
I think it's over. I was laughing at the idea that, oh, she wants to be in the news. She's a presidential candidate. Of course she wants to be in the news, but I don't think that's the reason. However, there is a question of private life. This is new. It's going to go on. I think you can't put the cat back in the bag now. But there's something else about Martine Aubry. She's the mayor of Lille, which is a large northern town in France, city in France. And as mayor of Lille, she's taken some decisions that are very unpopular. One of those was to have segregated hours for swimming pools to accommodate her Muslim constituents. And that is a real problem because France has got this whole issue of secularism, and she was seen as bowing to some view of Sharia law. And that is not a rumor, that's a fact. So I think she's not finished to see part of that issue.
Right. But then there is this alcohol issue that has been going, and if you just type her name and alcohol on the internet, you'll get a number of hits. I promise you, I've tried it.
I think if you type in any name of a French politician with alcohol, you will find
or sex.
or sex.
Except for Sarkozy,
Except
who's
for
a
Sarkozy,
teetotaler.
but that's not a major.
But that's not good in
That's not a
France.
good thing.
It's
no,
not good.
Exactly. And I think she's exaggerating a little bit. I mean, there's no such thing as bad publicity, so she should be happy that she's in the press all the time and all these rumors. If you
I mean, the rumors were more serious than drinking. They're talking
course,
about
but
rehab and so on.
If you're going to fight the rumors, that means that you take them seriously and you give them some credit. I think that's the wrong strategy. I wouldn't, I would even, well, I'm not her communications advisor.
But she obviously decided to take the bull by the horns.
Yes,
She
that's
said,
what all politicians do in France. They want to attack all the press immediately and take them into court. And I think that's the wrong direction. But that's my opinion.
I think there is a danger because secularism now lies with law and order in the same category, I would say. There are broadly two categories in politics now, economics and law and order and secularism, where the state is still able to do things and decide. And being a female, many polls show it. And being the mayor of Lille, which is a city with a huge immigrant population, and being Martine Aubry, with the positions she has always had, necessarily puts her in a position to defend herself on this field in particular, because as far as
on the issue of Islam.
Because she will.
But that's not so well known. I mean, she's considered as a typical socialist.
No, not at all. But the problem is that it is now more than ever because of the rumors. And what I mean is that what people can reproach her in the fields of economics and employment, everyone knows it, and her popularity is based on what she's done in this field. Okay.
The 35-hour work week, as we all know.
This is a clear indicator of where she stands. But since we do not know yet, the general opinion doesn't know yet where she stands on the other issues, law and order and secularism, immigration, it is where she is vulnerable for the time being.
And do you think this is why she decided to react
Obviously,
in that way?
Because she cannot disregard this part of politics, all the more since it is probably the only field where major differences are credible now.
Right. But she also clearly indicated that she knew where this was coming from, and she did not say Nicolas Sarkozy or the Élysée Palace, but if you read her lips, you probably could tell that this is what she was thinking. I mean, is there some ground to believe that there are some nasty tricks going on?
Oh, it's French elections. There will be nasty tricks. But actually, I have received some of the viral emails on Martine Aubry, and they came from the extreme right. They came from stuff that would send me really sort of extreme rightist stuff. And there are very obviously photoshopped pictures of her wearing a headscarf, and you can see that because her cheek is vertical. I mean, somebody who really doesn't handle Photoshop very well. But then that has been sent by people who are more the Marine Le Pen supporters types.
Do you think that there is really maybe an agenda to damage Martine Aubry? I remember now that Dominique Strauss-Kahn, on the sidelines of a G20 summit a couple of months ago, had allegedly personally warned Nicolas Sarkozy to stop the dirty tricks. And people now are saying, okay, this was maybe because there was something going on, but it seems that the socialists do believe that the conservatives are ready to do anything to damage them.
Yeah, and I think the socialists are ready to do anything to damage the conservatives as well. It's part of the political game, and if you don't like the game, then you have to get out. And it's unfortunately that's the way it is. And there are a lot of left-wing sites who are trying to discredit Sarkozy or other right-wing politicians, and the same happens on the right. So it's a very dirty game. Everybody does it, and I think with the arrest of Dominique Strauss-Kahn, taboo has been broken, and that everything is now permitted in France. And maybe France has just become a normal country where it comes to politics. But I'm afraid that Martine Aubry has to deal with it, and she shouldn't pay too much attention to it.
Right. Mathieu, do you think the public opinion now wants to know more about the private behavior of politicians, or they'd rather go back to before?
I'm not sure. I think first, dirty politics is not really new in French politics.
Not
because
really.
it dates back to the 60s, to the 70s,
Goes back to the
Marcovy,
18th century.
the diamonds, and obviously even before the revolution. But the question is, if you ask people, do you want to know more? Obviously, they would like to. But do they really care?
Yeah.
Not that sure.
It depends. They say, I mean, people are schizophrenic about this one, because on the one hand they say, oh, we're not interested, we don't want to know about their public lives. But the minute you have it in one of those weeklies that in France play the part of tabloids, like Closer or Voici, people buy them in the millions, literally. So I think they are fascinated, but their self-image commands them to say, oh, no, I'm not interested, but they are.
Okay, we'll end this on this note. We'll take a summer recess here on politics. I want to thank everyone, and I want to thank especially Nariman Lawadi for helping put together this show for such a long time. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in August.